Hi, a new video. I've never done a video on polygamy. Um, uh, Joseph Smith has tried to inspire me to go over to the Bountiful Junior High School to the eighth grade girls and see if I could line any of them up. But I don't know. My life and the principles of Christ have said, leave the little girls alone. I don't know why Joseph wasn't told that, or Brigham. Brigham had the 15-year-old, Joseph the 14-year-old. Okay, polygamy. This is a tough one. This is a tough one. I just went to the Urantia book 2 days ago. It's a coincidence. Well, it's no coincidence that I studied a little bit about polygamy in the Urantia book. The King James version of the Bible has some rudimentary and crudimentary. King David had many wives, concubines. Solomon did. Moses did. Abraham did. It wasn't just Hagar, the maid, with Sarah. Abraham did have more polygamous relationships. Here's what the Urantia book said, and here's what I'm going to be in agreement with until I get new information. And of course, I want to be stupid like the rest of the world, and I don't want new information. Don't give me any facts. Don't give me any controversy. Just let me believe what I want to believe. Here's what the Urantia book said, and it makes sense to me. The Urantia book said, yes, there were polygamous men in the King James version of the Bible. But it said, however, as a society has advanced and evolution has developed, the monogamous relationship is the ideal. That made sense to me. That made sense to me because if I was I'm trying to think, Neanderthal, Piltdown man, I think he was the one they said that didn't exist, but the Neanderthals, if I was a Neanderthal, I think it's a good idea to just hit women over the head with a club, drag them over to my tent, and just screw them and screw them and screw them. I think that's a good family society. As mankind has evolved, the Urantia book is kind of indicating that the facts are the facts in the King James version of the Bible, but that the ideal and the evolution of mankind is one-on-one, man on man, or man on man, or woman on woman, whatever the combination. Again, the Urantia book makes no preference one way or the other. And so, what do? We have this whole group of people in 1820. Joseph was talking to the trees in the sacred grove and had a hallucination. I've been in the sacred grove, and I saw the tree he talked to, and it did have a face on it. It looked a little bit like Jesus, and the one next to it did look like God the Father. And when I pushed the button on the tree, it did say, all churches are an abomination. Go forth and create a religion. I said, well, I'm busy. I can't do that. So the evolution of mankind, there's a couple of overlapping things here in science and sociology and religion and societal. The idea of evolution is we have to look at the reality. And again, don't kill the damn messenger. Everybody is shooting at me all the time, but I'm old, but I'm fast. But I can't outrun an AR-15. One of my guys here said, is it okay if I shoot you with a bow and arrow? And I said, yeah, Samuel the Lamanite, shoot me. I can outrun it. So here's what I'm thinking. Men, historically, all we want to do is screw and eat and sleep. That's it. There's three things that a man wants: screw, eat, sleep. And we want as much food and the variety of food as we can get, and same way with the females that we come in contact with. Now, that is genetics. When we ejaculate, there's 300 million sperm all going, where's the egg? Where's the egg? And the other one says, I'll find it, get out of my way. And they fight, and there's a little bit of competition there. The dignified egg comes out quietly, dignified. They're a superior race, there's no doubt. The women are superior. And the egg comes out very humble and very kind. And she sits down, and all the men are trying to buy her drinks, and all the men are screaming and yelling, "Look at me, look at my muscles. I can swim faster. I have two tailor things that are wiggling in the back. The other one, well, I have four." But she's cool, and she goes, "Well, who's going to be the best sperm for me and this baby? Is it going to be someone who gets a job? That's a good idea. Maybe he could get a damn job and stay unemployed, off unemployment. Could he stay true to me, quit screwing everything that moves? Can he not hit me, beat me over the head with a club like the ancient men did?" So the egg makes an informed consent decision. So all the other guys, they go down the shitter. They just go down the shitter. Well, they probably deserve it. They probably deserve it because there's not enough eggs for 300 million sperm. So when you take the physiology of men and women, it is natural for men to want to have more than one woman. It doesn't mean we're in love with those women. We just like their vaginas. We just like our penis to ejaculate in their vaginas. We don't even care if we have a relationship. In fact, we don't even care what their name is. In the morning, we get up and sneak out of the house. We. Not, oh, God. Oh, Heavenly Father, forgive me. No, me, I've never done that. But anyway, that's what I've read in books, my friends. So when you put in the physiology, you've got a lot of hurdles to overcome because the body of men and the body of women are very, very different, and they're hooked psychologically to the brain and the emotions very, very differently. And basically, to go from a caveman hitting you over the head, dragging you to the tent, and screwing everybody that moves, to monogamous marriages is an evolutionary development that takes a lot of time. So what we're dealing with, one is physiology. Okay, can that be overcome to an extent? Yes, but I have to be honest. I don't know why, but I just have to be. Men can be true to their wives, if you like that word, truth, faithful. Women like that word better. But we think, but then our brain goes, "You'll get fucked. She'll take half the house. She'll take half the cars. She's nice to you. She feeds you food. She's the mother of your children. Don't do it." We go, okay, so we don't do it. But we do think. We do think all the time. Men think sexually, they say, about every 6 seconds. A woman is a little bit longer. It's in the minutes. But men are consumed with sexual innuendo and the way women talk, their words, the way they move, the way they remind him of his mother or whatever, Oedipus complex, I don't know. So we're handling with polygamy some natural processes where men and women have to overcome the emotional and mental physiology of trying to just stay with one partner and basically being faithful to that partner. That's a big problem. It's gotten better. I said that too quickly. 50% of marriages do end in divorce. Has it gotten better? Well, the damn statistics indicate no. And the statistics that are popping up now, it used to be that men were always running around on their wives, but the statistics now are showing that women are not as prone to that behavior, but they do engage in it more than we used to think that they did. So that's one layer, physiology. We have to grow, we have to develop, we have to educate ourselves, we have to move towards one-on-one relationships with individual human beings. Now, the other problem that overlays this is society. In Samoa, if women weigh 900 pounds, they're the queen of the ball. The fatter a woman is in Samoa, the more desirable she is. Every man in the world wants to, engage in sexual behavior with the fattest woman in the tribe. So I'm using that as an example of society. I have a little bit of familiarity with the Filipino society. It does not allow for divorce. Now, there is a society that there's some problems. If a man runs around on a woman in the Philippines, she can't say, fuck you, get your shit and get out of here. She can't do that. He can go screw anybody he wants, anytime he wants, and the societal norms, the religious norms, the cultural folkways, mores of that society has a huge hurdle there. So we see in Samoa, there's some differences. In the Philippines, there's some differences. And of course, if we go to the Mideast, there's still polygamy in the Mideast. Women have to wrap up in the sheet. They can peek out of it. But I think the men peek under the sheet all the time from as many Islam people as I've seen. So here's another society that is basically a polygamist. And it's hardcore polygamist that women can't drive. They can't vote. They can't leave the house without a male escort. And if God forbid, that they, don't have their habit or whatever they call it on, they're going to have all kinds of serious, they can beat them. Domestic abuse doesn't really apply to that society. So goddamn, here we've got physiology between men and women. Now we've got societal overtones for trying to go from polygamy to monogamous relationships. Well, we're developing. We are getting better, but I'm not sure we're ever going to overcome a homogeneous society. Everyone speaks different languages. They have different values. They have different cultures. Women 300 years ago in the United States were property, just like black people. They were not human beings. They were property. They couldn't vote. They couldn't drive. And back in the old days, the common law, if there was a divorce between a man and a woman in England and early America, the man could pick the woman up, throw her ass out on the front grass with her clothes. He got everything. We developed a little bit from that. So these evolutionary things socially change very slowly. Now let me see if I can focus a little bit on modern polygamy and focus it here in America and around our current 2025 time period. Polygamy wasn't even popular with Joseph Smith. The people in the society there, it wasn't accepted at all. It wasn't accepted with Brigham Young. The Mormon bubble, it was acceptable. Brigham Young, Wilford Woodruff, Pratt, William Law. Inside the bubble of the strict restrictive Mormon idea, yeah, everybody could marry 14-year-olds. They could marry sisters. They could marry other married women. That was in the bubble of the Mormon Church. The Reed Smoot hearings stopped that shit. The U.S. government wouldn't even let the goddamn senator elected here in Utah sit in the Senate because of polygamy. The normal society said no more fucking polygamy. Mormon Church, give up your damn polygamy, or we're sending, I think it was Johnson's army, and I don't remember which president it was, but he sent the Johnson's army towards Brigham Young and said, we're going to take your chapels, your stake centers, your farms, everything you fucking own if you keep fucking everybody that moves. Well, Wilford Woodruff finally said, well, we're not going to do that anymore. We're not going to do, and Brigham Young said, well, we want to be a state. We won't fuck everybody anymore. Well, they lied. William, what's his name? Wilford had to put 2 manifestos in because, as usual, he lied on the first one, which they lie for the church. They lie for the Lord. So we've come a long ways from Brigham Young, Joseph Smith, and the pedophile behaviors of those ancient Mormon men. Now, there hasn't been, in my understanding and education, other religions that are polygamous in the United States. There may be spots of cults and spots, but nothing dramatic like the Mormon Church and the FLDS Church. Warren Jeffs, God, if he doesn't share a cell with Joseph Smith, there is no justice. There is no justice. He went down to 12-year-olds. I don't know. What do you do? Get a baby out of her crib before the FLDS people were going to be satisfied? I don't know. But now you've got this situation when you have all of these men supporting all of these children and all of these women in a polygamous relationship. What the hell can the woman do? She couldn't drive, she couldn't read, she couldn't go to school. She's like a sixth grader or a 10-year-old girl with her education, her knowledge, her experience. She can't just wake up one morning and say to her polygamous husband, I'm the fuck out of here. Where's she going to go? On her feet? Is she going to start walking from Colorado City to Salt Lake? What? She can't get on an airplane. She can't buy a ticket. She has no credit card. She has no bank account. She's never written a check. These women, and I was asked a few minutes ago about abuse, they're abused. There's no doubt about it. They're 100% abused. When you take the freedom of a human being in any form, in any amount, away from a human being, it's abuse. Heavenly Father designed us and made us to be independent and to be free to make our own decisions. So when you get these little girls that are being raised in Warren Jeffs and his predecessors' families, what choice do they have? They have homeschooling. What's the homeschool going to say? Polygamy is a bad thing? Come on, let's have some common sense to the rhetoric going on here. These girls are inundated from the birth, from very birth. Their job is to lie for the Lord, praise to the man. When I went to the temple, I think this has changed right now. I can't confirm it. But when I went to the temple, and for over 125 years, the Mormon temple, the endowment session, the men raised their right arm to the square before they said, bow your head and say yes, and covenanted to obey all of the laws of God. Then the men put their hands down, and it went over to the woman's side. And the women, they had to put a veil on their face because I guess they thought they were ugly. I don't know. I would have liked to have a veil because I was ugly. But the women, they made them veil their face in the prayer circle. And I think during this particular endowment covenant. And they had to raise their right hand to the square. And they had to covenant to live and obey all the laws of their husband. Of their husband. If I was a woman and the first time I heard that, I would have stood up and said, you guys got your head up your ass. Fuck all of you. And I would have walked out. How come man is required to worship God, but women in the Mormon church are required to worship their husbands? Well, you can't spell abuse any larger in bold letters than that. So these polygamous societies that are still fragmented right now, they're still Jeff's in jail, and it certainly deserves to be there. Joseph is dead. He certainly deserves to be there. These pedophiles, life in prison is, I think, too good of a thing. I think the death penalty for certain pedophiles is appropriate. But let me go back to these young women who are trying to live their lives, escape if they can. If you live in a bubble and you don't know anything about outside the bubble, you're never going to try to escape. There's no thought process. If you don't have a friend or a relative or a cell phone or something that says, by the way, you're being abused, you don't know you're being abused. You think that's the way it should be. And God made you to be abused. And you just accept abuse with tied up hair and a long dress that makes you look like a damn jerk. Stupid. But again, they want to humiliate you. They want you identified as property. That's the reason. That's the reason the men in the FLDS church make them wear long skirts and make them have their hair up stupid. So when they walk into Walmart, everybody knows they're property of FLDS people. So Jeff's, yeah, it died down a little bit. It fragmented a little bit, to my knowledge. There were other leaders that tries to rise to the occasion, if you know what I mean. All these prophets seem to rise to the occasion on a pretty regular basis. I remember the 5 points of fellowship that I used to do in the Mormon temple in Salt Lake City. the women were complaining that it was the 6 points of fellowship, and they told the men, get the fuck away from us, and that temple ceremony, which never changes, of course, changed. So anyway, these young girls that are trapped in this, my heart goes out to them because, if you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you. Now, that's not just an analogy, it's a principle. If everything you are, your self-esteem, your emotion, your physical, your mental, where you take a bath, where you go to the bathroom, your friends, your neighbors, your children, your grandparents, you can't hardly ever bite the hand that feeds you because you're going to be a lone soldier. You're going to be out there alone. You're going to cry a lot. You're going to be wondering if you made the right decision. I did that in the Mormon church. I went back a second time. It was a shit sandwich the first time. I went back and took another bite. I thought, God, maybe it's me. It was my society. It was my family. It was my reputation. It was my everything. I had to strip all that away and be brave enough that Christ would support me in re-evaluating and reintegrating into a real society. So these young girls and boys, it's not just the girls, the boys too, the old men, they see those young penises and those erections and they go, God, I don't want those around these young girls. I want these young girls around me. That's what Jesus wants. And I go, Jesus, how are these people thinking these things? But they do. So they ban the young boys, and the young boys, really have to eat a lot of shit to even move up in the organization because they're a threat to the old man that want to fuck the 12-year-old girls. So these young girls that try to get out of there, I admire you. The young boys that are trying to get out, I admire you. The world is more accepting of you. They understand you better than we ever did. We used to think you wanted to be there. That was how stupid we were and how the society brainwashed us, that you wanted to be abused every damn day. You wanted to have 600 sister wives living in the bunk bed with you. We thought you enjoyed that. That's how stupid we were. So if there's anything that we can do, and again, anything personally I can do, I still do counseling, and if there's anything as an individual I could do for a man or a woman to try to help them extract themselves. I can't extract anybody. That's, stupid. If you're in that cult and you want to get out of it, you're going to have to get the bravery and the knowledge and the experience to at least take one step forward. A trip of 1,000 miles does start with the first step. But if there's anything that you want to put on my videos as far as feelings or emotions or asking for references, I have people around me that are fabulous resources for helping extract people that are being abused in FLDS and other cult situations. So anything I can do as an individual, put it on an email to me. My email is always on my court documents. I don't want people calling me because the Mormon church has a lot of strange fish that the net brings in. They're nutballs. Lori Valor, what was her name, killed her 2 kids up in Idaho and buried them because they were zombies. I guess the Mormon church taught her that. So I don't need that shit in my life. But if there's legitimate polygamous people, male, female, that could have any help or resources from me, just leave a message, and I'll try to get people in contact with you. And anyway, that's the overview on polygamy. It's going to be a long evolutionary, and I don't know how you're going to evolve men wanting to screw everything that moves. I don't know if that's going to be AI. I don't know if you're going to be able to change emotions, thought patterns. But the natural man, the church is true. The church is true on this. It's false on everything else. The natural man is an enemy to God. That's quoted a little bit different in the King James Version of the Bible, but the principle is the same. That as long as we're in these containers, we do a lot of shit. and there's not a lot we can do about it. We could, castrate all men. Maybe that would be a good idea. I don't know. A lot of women would think that's a good idea. I hope that they don't vote that way under the Trump administration. But anyway, end of video.